Hi, my name is Prudence Free, and this is my critical reflection. What do I think about assessment? Well, frankly, where do I start? My beliefs on assessment first came from my first experience of assessment, which was at school, and how I was given assessment in the classroom, and then I never ever answered well to black and white formal assessment. This has most definitely shaped my views on assessment as I've grown up and followed an educational path. When I was at school, I was always apprehensive about taking tests. I hated written tests and having to look at my answers next to my student next to me who got 10 out of 10. But this has definitely shaped how I would like to use assessment in my classroom. I never want my students to come to school apprehensive of the test they're going to take. I don't want assessment to become a negative impact in our classroom. I want the students to be proud of their assessment and use assessment as a positive tool in our classroom. Theorists such as Black and William, who mention the importance of assessment tools such as self and peer reflection, have definitely shaped my views on just how important different kinds of assessment is, not only for myself as a teacher, but for the students around me. I think it's important to realise who all benefit from assessment. The learner always needs to be the one at the core of any assessment strategy, subject matter and learning. But experts in school organisations, principals and other teachers also need to benefit from the assessment exercise. I guess we could assess and assess and assess all year long, but if we don't actually use the results we achieve to further students' learning, are we actually using assessment to benefit the learner? If myself as a teacher doesn't use the assessment results, how can the student learn? And ultimately, how am I growing as an assessor? If I assess and assess and assess, and we do 10 times tests a day, what am I really learning? I guess I have a lot of numbers on a page, but do I really know what that student knows? Am I able to see the kids who learn visually? Am I able to look at the kids who might be creative? If I test only one single way, I'm never going to get a true, accurate response of the students in my classroom. I'll never be able to see the full picture, and I don't believe that would make me a very good educator at all. It was this idea I gained from looking at results and reading such as John Gardner, when I realised that we assess for the learner, and this is what allows us to be a good assessor and educators to achieve the ultimate goal of an effective classroom and a tool in the classroom to better students. Assessment needs to be more than just worksheets or handouts and multiple choice questions. Although tests like these do have their place, such as using a pre-test in a classroom. But assessment needs to be looked at from all perspectives. And this includes formal and informal. Variety in types of assessment allows a range of different learning outcomes to be assessed. It also keeps students interested. This way of thinking has definitely informed my teaching. I now look for new ways to assess students in my classroom, and made me see the way we need to appreciate that assessment is about learning and not only about numbers. Standardised testing is a vastly controversial and well-debated topic. However, for many reasons, it is not going away anytime soon. It was only after looking deeper into this matter I saw a very complex issue. The consistent media coverage in the Australian media filters down from the media to the schools, to the teachers, and will affect me professionally as a teacher and the school that I work for, and thus my students. When I was first asked what do I think about NAPLAN or PISA or high-stakes testing, I was quick to fire back. I disagree with NAPLAN. Down with high-stakes testing. But there are numerous reasons for holding this opinion. High-stakes testing encourages teaching to the test, and by this I refer to spending excessive amounts of time in test preparation. This allows students who may not be fully prepared academically to still do well since they have learned test-taking skills. But do they really understand the context? And are they really learning? I think not. Diane Ravitch also talks about teaching to the test, stating excessive test preparation distorts the very purpose of a test, which to assess learning and knowledge, not to produce higher test scores. The sad reality is that that this creates an atmosphere that is boring and a lack of creativeness for the students. Unfortunately, standardised tests will affect me greatly in my school career. It will always be something that I will have to face personally and professionally. And no matter what my opinion of it, I'll still face it in my classroom. So how do I get around this? On one hand, there are many people who are supportive of high-stakes tests. They believe that the benefits of these outweigh the consequences, and that high-stakes tests are an important way to improve the education system. I personally believe this sort of argument is not as commonly heard as the other, but that makes it even more important to understand. It makes me wonder, if I'm encouraged to focus on standardised testing, will I grow in my professional learning? It is easy to say how bad NAPLAN or PISA or high-stakes testing is, but ultimately it has its place in the classroom. And so does all kinds of assessment. If we use this assessment in the correct ways, we are able to create greater learning for our students. And isn't that our goal as teachers? I guess I can preach to you today about how it is better to use all forms of assessments, informal, formative, summative and formative. But reality is, as teachers, we do have a limited time to achieve so many things, and it may not be always to obtain this. I worry that in my professional role as a teacher and being in charge of all these students' learning, I will be told to focus on the numbers rather than each individual students. But my professional learning will only grow once I step into the classroom. And through this assignment and the readings, I've gained an insight into what goes into creating a successful assignment.